Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. at Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday.
The time is 10 a.m.
Good morning. Thank you for tuning in to the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. My name is Pamela, and I'm here with Dory. We invite you to listen to our broadcast both live and on demand. Our live sessions are available on the Blind Community Thrift Store YouTube channel Monday to Friday between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. each week. Additionally, you can access on-demand content through the Audio Reader Network, which offers a wide range of audio material for the visually impaired community. To explore content from the Audio Reader Network, please visit www.reader.ku.edu. The site provides details about accessing content via Amazon Alexa, Audio Reader Network mobile app, and information on receiving a radio to listen to the broadcast by KSMU Radio. All broadcasts are played over KSMU's subcarrier airwaves on 67 kilohertz on 91.1 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday. Contact Audio Reader Network for information on receiving a pre-programmed radio. Our first article today I found on the Springfield Daily Citizen. It is titled, Library OCAC Team Up for Holiday Food Drive. Each library branch is accepting donations of non-perishable, shelf-stable foods until December 14th. The article is by Joe Hadstall, and it was posted about 20 hours ago. First, there's a photo, and it's a large display of Springfield Greene County's Library District's new cards sitting between bookshelves. And in front, there's also a young lady reading while she's sitting at the library. The Ozark Area Community Action Cooperation has teamed up with local libraries to fight growing food insecurity. Branches of the Springfield Greene County Library District will collect non-perishable food items until Sunday, December 14th, according to a press release. Those donations will be collected by OCAC and distributed at its main facilities, as well as area food pantries and Head Start locations. In November, several Springfield businesses and nonprofits mobilized after a record-setting government shutdown led to the suspension of SNAP benefits. The food drive has been organized to help recover from that interruption, as well to assist with food insecurity during the holidays. Organizers are seeking shelf-stable, non-expired foods that can stay fresh without refrigeration. Suggested items include, but are not limited to, canned meats, just add water, soup, mac and cheese or pancake mixes, ready-to-eat canned pastas and stews, pop-top cans preferred, tuna packets, oatmeal packets, peanut butter, and unopened or individually wrapped snacks, cereals, and pastas. OCAC is a network of private, nonprofit organizations that assist low-income families. Online donations can also be made on the network's website. The library has 10 locations across Greene County, including Ash Grove, Fairgrove, Republic, Stratford, Willard, and 5 in Springfield.
All right, well, this is from the 417 Lifestyle. The picture is of a man and a lady, and we're seeing lots of Christmas memorabilia, Santa Claus, Christmas trees, a sign that says "Believe in the Magic of Christmas" on the front of the desk, and also the cutest little gray bulldog with a bandana around his neck you've ever seen. As I said, this is from the 417. Have you ever heard of a bull in a china shop? Well, on Commercial Street, you can find a much sweeter version, a bulldog, in an ornament shop. Miss Peppermint Piggy Patty is a 4-year-old English bulldog and part-time security guard at North Star Christmas Company, a year-round Christmas store. It's based right here in Springfield. To North Star's co-owner and operator, Jennifer Bessie Baker, Piggy was a Christmas gift of sorts. She adopted her at Christmas time. As you peruse the quaint shop located across the street by the way from LaRue Bistro, you might become lost in a forest of Christmas trees while a warm cinnamon smell wafts through the space to the sound of Malik. I knew that was going to stop. Malik, I won't sing it, but anyway, it's Malik. It means Merry Christmas in Hawaiian. Each tree incorporates its own distinct aesthetic, the handiwork of Bessie Baker and her family. During other holiday seasons, including St. Patrick's Day and Mother's Day, some plastic evergreen trees take on a completely different seasonal character. This passion for festivity started well before Bessie Baker opened North Star, along with her husband Derek Baker, earlier this year. She said they've always gone all out for celebrations, something that was important when she and Baker discussed their family plans. She says her husband and she both grew up in homes with great parents, but homes where they didn't decorate. Bessie Baker says my parents are just not holiday people and neither are his. They're not birthday people. It's a very regular kind of day for them. When Bessie Baker and her husband got together and ultimately decided to get married, they talked through what their future might look like at home. They knew they wanted celebrations like birthdays and Christmas to feel extra special. We're seeing a couple more pictures from the store. Beautiful large Christmas trees, an ornament that says "I love you" to Springfield and back. The couple's Christmas collection grew so big they've started a business, first selling online, then later in antique mall booths, including relics. Around the same time, Baker began installing Christmas lights for customers, a service that the shop is still offering alongside Christmas tree decorations. The move to a storefront, a natural progression as their demand increased. Bessie Baker describes the couple's business as a side hustle, as the two currently work in government and are set to retire in 2027. We just want to give back to our community, she says. While Branson has its own array of Christmas shops, Bessie Baker says what differentiates North Star is her Springfield-specific ornaments, often purchased as souvenirs, as well as her personal connection with customers. We try to really individualize customer service, especially me, she says. I'm a chatty person. To Bessie Baker, the store prioritizes the magic of Christmas all year, something she defines as a feeling of giving, caring, and loving. And some of the most endearing aspects are its Christmas elves, also known as the Baker's children, often hard at work around the store, greeting customers and working the cash register. Some of these children were adopted through the foster care system. Bessie Baker says their experiences reinvigorated her passion for festivity and estimates that about 20 kids have passed through her home over the past 6 years. She's made sure to go all out for holidays and birthdays. She says she truly enjoys bringing kids into the home and letting them experience an over-the-top Christmas. In her brick-and-mortar store on C-Store, she's helping spread this whimsy. In fact, she and her husband hand-selected the store's location because of the store's character. She wanted a Christmas store, not a mall store. C Street, Bessie Baker says is a metaphor for her marriage. The street's mix of historic architecture with eclectic shops matches her husband's traditional nature and her love of unique items. Items like the ornament of Michelangelo's David in red bikini trucks, or the chrome Buddha. In the future, Bessie Baker hopes to keep the business in the family, in particular seeing her 15-year-old daughter Paige taking over, citing her entrepreneur spirit. She's shown a true initiative to want to have a business, she says, and could that mean there'll be a changing of the guards when it's time for Piggy to enjoy her retirement?
I have another article on the Springfield Citizen. This time it's about housing. The title is Council Previews Plans to Encourage Missing Middle Housing on City-Owned Properties. The subtitle of the 49 vacant city-owned properties identified as suitable for missing middle housing, 10 are considered shovel-ready. And this article is by Jack McGee. First, we have a photo. It's of Steve Childers, the city's Director of Planning and Development, talking about the city's efforts to create a land bank on Thursday, August 28th, 2025 in Springfield. The photo is by Ellie Freistack, and he is standing in front of two maps of the city of Springfield. While the future of a Springfield land bank remains in limbo following a recent Cole County court ruling that invalidated the legislation allowing its formation, city officials are moving forward with an initiative to encourage the development of missing middle housing on vacant city-owned properties. Steve Childers, the city's Director of Planning and Development, provided an update on the city's efforts to develop a strategic housing missing middle infill program to the Springfield City's Council at its Tuesday, December 2nd study session. Missing middle housing refers to the range of multi-unit or clustered housing types between single-family homes and mid-rise apartment buildings that can easily be integrated into existing neighborhoods to provide housing diversity according to the Forward Springfield Comprehensive Plan. With the goal of increasing the affordability and accessibility of housing and encouraging reinvestment in neighborhoods, the program is intended to establish a process by which private developers and nonprofit organizations can develop missing middle housing on vacant property. Site constraints hinder development of vacant lots. While the program could eventually include property acquired through a land bank, the city is currently focusing on city-owned property. Of the 732 city-owned parcels in Springfield, only 145 are vacant. Of those 145 parcels, the city has identified 49 that have potential for missing middle infill housing. Some of these lots may not be developed, Childers said, of the 145 vacant lots. They could be floodplains, there could be sinkholes, there could be a reason why these are vacant lots. Only 10 of the 49 parcels are considered shovel-ready, meaning redevelopment could begin almost immediately under the proposed program. While the remaining 39 have the potential for missing middle housing, many of these parcels have site constraints that must be first addressed, including improper zoning, city liens, and a lack of sewer access. Following this is a photo, and it describes where the 145 vacant lots are that are owned by the city. And then in the light blue color, it shows 145 vacant lots, and a darker color, it shows 49 that have been identified as having missing middle potential, and then of those 49, 10 are considered shovel-ready. It tends to be there more in the middle to north sections of Springfield. Zoning issues may be resolved during the upcoming citywide remapping process, through which the city plans to rezone certain properties in center city neighborhoods from single-family residencies to residential mixed-density neighborhood low, or RMX1. Excuse me really fast, I have to clear my throat. Which will accommodate missing middle housing types. Additionally, Childers said planning staff were working on the Department of Environmental Services to see about adding sewer services to some of these vacant properties. As part of the Missing Middle program, the city is proposing to reorganize how it disposes of the city-owned properties acquired through the nuisance abatement process. Currently, the process of acquiring and substantially disposing of nuisance properties can take up to 5 years and cost more than what the city makes in revenue from surplus property. We're trying to figure out a way to move faster, turn these vacant lots into housing units, and maybe find processes where we can become more efficient. We can become more efficient, and we can actually be doing something that balances out a little bit more, Childers said at the December 2 meeting. City proposes reorganizing dispositioning process. The current dispositioning process requires that the property acquired through a quiet title judgment goes before the Land Inventory Committee, which designates surplus properties, determining its market value, and sets restrictions on its sale before the city solicits bids for the lot. From 2013 to 2020, the Land Inventory Committee sold 97 lots for a total of $1,223,186. In contrast, between 2020 and 2024, the city's Department of Building Development Services spent $3,256,653 on the nuisance abatement activities, which must take place prior to any acquisition efforts and quiet title litigations. Childer noted that hundreds of properties are currently going through the nuisance abatement process and have the potential of entering a land bank in the future. Under the new process proposed to the City Council, the city's Department of Economic Vitality and Planning and Development would equate lots for the highest and best use, determine a market value, and solicit a request for the applications, which would be scored and awarded by a new infill program committee. And next we have some more photos. This first photo is showing an empty lot that's city-owned at 1924 North Main Avenue that's been identified as having missing middle infill potential. And the photo is by Ellie Fritzdak. And another one, oh, sorry, that is just an ad. Rather than simply selling surplus properties for the sole purpose of disposing them, the city would instead sell or potentially gift these properties to private developers and nonprofit organizations with the intent of them developing missing middle housing, to the extent that the city would be able to claw back property if the applicant has failed to develop it within a specific time frame. However, the missing middle program is intended to expedite the development process. In evaluating the best use for the property, the city would also develop pre-approved plans for missing middle housing, equipped with the design guidelines and density limitations. We've already pre-permitted what can go on the lot. It's ready. We're just going to say, hey, if anybody wants to develop on this lot, then submit an application and we can move forward like that, Childer said while snapping his fingers. So we're creating the process that will be able to move quickly. Childer said the city would evaluate the potential for missing middle housing on city-owned lots using a similar process to how it reviews other development applications. Just like any application would come to the city, we go through a pre-developed process for that application. We're taking our own lots, we're selling them to pre-development process, we're evaluating whether or not these lots are shovel-ready, Childer said. And through that process, we're evaluating what density could be on those lots at an appropriate level. And we have another photo that looks like what one of these pre-setups would be for missing middle housing. The caption says, as part of Springfield's missing middle program, the city is planning to develop pre-approved plans for vacant parcels that establishes density and design requirements. This is a model of that empty photo lot that we saw earlier at 1924 North Main Street. The city is proposing a cottage court with 2 cottages, both featuring over 1,000 square feet. And this is provided by the city of Springfield. It just shows 2 kind of thin houses that go far back. That way they're able to have as many families in there as they find reasonable. And it's 2 2-bedroom units. And then they also are making ADA accessible layouts. The city has also already visualized missing middle options for some of the city-owned vacant lots. For example, the city is proposing the possibility of a duplex with an accessory dwelling unit at 1053 East Blaine Street and a cottage court at 1924 North Main Street. In addition, city staff are working on the draft request for applications and plans to create an interactive website for prospective applicants, both modeled after a similar interface used in Cook County, Illinois. Eventually, the city intends for the missing middle program to tie into a land bank, which the Center for Community Progress defined as a public entity with unique powers to put vacant, abandoned, and deteriorated properties back into a productive use, according to community goals. Generally, land banks are able to acquire property through a tax foreclosure progress that forgives liens and clears the title. Last year, the Missouri General Assembly passed, and then Governor Mike Parson signed House Bill 2062, an omnibus bill that enabled any city with populations of at least 1,500 to create a land bank, among a handful of other unrelated provisions. But on October 20th, Cole County Circuit Judge Brian Stump invalidated the entire bill in a lawsuit over separate, unrelated provisions that prohibits homeowners associations from banning backyard chickens on a lot of at least 0.2 acres. Springfield State Rep Bill Owen, who championed the land bank provisions in the House Bill 2062, previously indicated plans to sponsor the land bank legislation again in the upcoming 2026 legislative session, while the Missouri Attorney General's office intends to appeal the Core County ruling. While it remains unclear how a Springfield land bank could be funded long-term, the city was set to receive approximately $750,000 in a grant funding from the Missouri Foundation for Health to help kickstart the establishment of the agency and financing some of the initial operating cost. Chowder said Tuesday that the foundation was completely committed to awarding the grant, despite the recent setback. "This is a good thing," Chowder said. "They know we are committed to creating a land bank and moving things forward, programs like this. We're just simply not asking for the contract yet, until we can get some proof of where we know where the state legislature is going to do." And then Chowder dispels notions of homeownership crisis. When asked by the council member Heather Hartington if single-family homes might be more appropriate for some lots to encourage home ownership, Chowder said that the notion that Springfield is facing a home ownership crisis is often taken out of context. While the overall home ownership rate is only 42%, Chowder noted that 63% of single-family homes are owner-occupied. "It may be a homeowner preference, but I don't know that you have to have a homeowner crisis on your hands," Chowder said. "You have an inventory crisis, a variety/density crisis. You don't have enough places for people to live in different socioeconomic statuses, but it's not an ownership issue." Councilman Craig Hosmer suggested that the city be involved in developing at least one project to demonstrate the potential for missing middle housing to development communities. And then we have a photo of Springfield City Council member Craig Hosmer, General CB, attending a meeting of the Springfield City Council on Monday, October 7th in 2024. "I think if you could demonstrate that, you will have people willing to take that chance because developers want their margins. I'm not critical of it. They want their margins to be pretty good because of unknown circumstances," Hosmer said. Chowder said that the city could easily identify some properties that the city could lead on in developing in order to kickstart the Missing Middle program. In expressing his support for the program, Councilmember Abe McGull said numerous taxing entities would benefit from increased property values, noting that a vacant lot doesn't produce a dime of revenue for the city. "It's important for us managers as you cannot manage what you don't measure," McGull said. "And you went out and actually measured and told us directly how much vacant lots we have and what the number of properties is out there available, all those things. We need to assess that. And the only way you can assess or manage it is actually knowing what the numbers really are." Council members suggest programs focus on collector streets. While the Missing Middle program would likely end up accommodating mostly rental properties, Chowder suggested that there would be opportunities for both single-family homes and ownership of individual units of multifamily structures. "That's a market that I think could be created, and I guess I would like to try to use this program to jumpstart that type of new product out there," Chowder said. Following this, there's a photo of Derek Lee, a council member representing General CD, attends the Springfield City Council meeting held on April 21, 2025, and that's a photo by Jim Wilson. While supportive of promoting missing middle housing along collector streets, Councilmember Derek Lee cautioned his fellow city council members that doing so further within the interior of neighborhoods could be faced resistance from residents. "There's a significant chance that we could have pushback from the neighborhood that they don't want that," Lee said. "They may want their neighborhood to continue to be owner-occupied single-family homes because it's been zoned for 100 years, and the city of Springfield is the one that's doing this." Lee said he has asked city staff to prepare an alternate zoning map with only a third of the properties previously proposed for the RMX1 zoning, concentrated along collector streets. And just to remind us, that was written by Jack McGee.
And this was first posted by Jeff Pickle yesterday on the Springfield Business Journal. Jordan Valley is relocating a program for older adults to the former Walgreens. That former Walgreens that closed earlier this year, it's over by Grand and Kansas Expressway. Jordan Valley is expecting a mid-2026 completion for the remodeling of the building, located at 1930 West Grand Street. At the intersection with Kansas Expressway, said Christy Taylor, the health system's marketing strategist. "We're relocating our Jordan Valley Senior Care Program to this building because of its proximity to the current location and current pharmacy, and so we can remodel the current facility and create space for our growing pediatric dental residency program," Taylor said via email. Jordan Valley Senior Care is a program of all-inclusive care for the elderly, or PACE, that started in July 2024 at the health system's 1720 West Grand Street Clinic, the clinic across the street from the former Walgreens store. Taylor declined to disclose the August purchase price of the roughly 14,000 square foot building from Blackstone Group North LLC or expected renovation costs. DeWitt and Associates Inc. signage have been installing fencing that currently surrounds the property. The Walgreens store at the site closed in February, according to past reporting, and Jordan Valley's plans for the former Walgreens building were first reported by the Springfield Daily Citizen. And we see a picture of the building, just a plain building, no the Walgreens signage all gone, of course, and an empty parking lot. And in one other business news, if you're a fan of Chick-fil-A, Westside Chick-fil-A is set to open on December 4th. Tomorrow, the 3833 West Sunshine Street fast food eatery is scheduled to debut, according to a news release. Houston Phillips, who started with Chick-fil-A as a part-time employee in 2012, is the owner-operator of the restaurant with approximately 120 jobs created. From the beginning of my journey with Chick-fil-A as a team member, I believed a restaurant can be more than a place to eat. It can be a place where people feel genuinely cared for, Phillips said in the release. What I look forward to the most about opening this new restaurant in Springfield is creating that kind of environment, one where team members feel supported, developed, and guests experience true hospitality every time they walk through our doors. Atlanta, Georgia-based Chick-fil-A Inc. is donating $25,000 to Feeding America to celebrate the restaurant's opening. Additionally, the restaurant will participate in the Chick-fil-A Shared Table program that donates surplus food to local nonprofits. The new 5,000 square foot restaurant sits on a parcel that is owned by Alliance Capital Investors and leased to Chick-fil-A, according to past Springfield Business Journal reporting. The parcel is in front of Menards and Springfield Plaza, located across the street. The West Sunshine Chick-fil-A is the company's 6th location in Springfield.
The next article is Trial Begins for First of 5 Suspects in 2023's Deadly Shooting. Eilish Bidell, 21, faces a life sentence if the jury convicts him of murdering Chavez Nugent and shooting Nugent's girlfriend. The article is by Jackie Rowald, and this was posted about 4 hours ago. First, we have a photo of the defendant, Eilish Bidell, sitting and listening to witness testimonies during his murder trial on Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025, in Springfield. The photo is by Ellie Fritzdak. Haley Frillman, who was 7 months pregnant when she and her boyfriend were shot multiple times on November 14, 2023, was the third witness called to testify on Tuesday in the trial of one of the men suspected of pulling a trigger that evening. Frillman was shot 3 times, in her finger, her leg, and her arm. Her injuries caused her to have a high-risk pregnancy, and she was in a wheelchair for months. Her boyfriend and the father of her baby, 26-year-old Chavez Nugent, was shot numerous times and died on the scene. One of the alleged shooters, 21-year-old Eilish Bidell, is charged with first-degree murder, first-degree assault, 4 counts of armed criminal action, and 2 counts of unlawful use of a weapon. His trial is happening this week in Judge Todd Meyer's courtroom. We have a photo, and it's of Haley Frillman looking at a crime scene photo of herself being taken into an ambulance during the murder trial of Eilish Bidell. The photo again by Ellie Fritzdak. Frillman was 22 at the time of the shooting. She testified that she and Nugent had been together for more than a year, and that they were headed to a restaurant that evening in 2023. Frillman was driving, and Nugent was in the passenger seat. They just started shooting. Frillman described how a dark sedan with tinted windows carrying several occupants seemed to be following them as the couple traveled north on Kansas Expressway, nearing Chestnut Expressway. She turned into Chestnut, and then the sedan drove into the lane next to her car. They were riding window to window, going the same speed as me, Frillman testified, adding that the tinted windows prevented her from seeing inside the car. Frillman said she turned right onto Grant Avenue, and the other car continued, but a few seconds later, the sedan followed them again and pulled alongside Frillman's car. There's another photo of Haley Frillman answering questions by Greene County Prosecutor Conan Brown during the trial of Eilish Bidell on Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025 in Springfield. They just started shooting, Frillman testified. Nugent was unresponsive immediately, she recalled. She drove a bit further, hoping to find a way to call for help. Her car came to a stop near the intersection of College and Campbell in downtown Springfield, and the sedan drove away. Frillman testified she couldn't think of any reason why someone would shoot her or Nugent. Asked if Nugent had any enemies, Frillman replied softly, no one. Bidell is one of 5 suspects. The other 4 co-defendants suspected of opening fire on Frillman's vehicle that night are Timothy Hester, Cesar Bolanos, Cortez Washington, and Arston Bradley. They face the same charges as Bidell and remain in the Greene County Jail awaiting trials. Neither the prosecutor nor defense attorney mentioned in their opening statements whether any of the co-defendants will be called to testify during Bidell's trial. We have another photo. It's the Greene County Assistant Prosecutor Joshua Harrell examining a Springfield police officer while showing crime scene photos of the car with bullet holes. As other witnesses, mostly law enforcement officers testified on Tuesday, Froman sat in the front row in the gallery, flanked by family and supporters. She wept and put her head down when attorneys displayed photos and videos of Nugent after his body was pulled from the bullet-ridden car. Bedell, who was 19 at the time of the shooting, is being held at the Greene County Jail. He is represented by public defender Jeffrey Wood and was allowed to wear a suit and tie to court. Prosecutor Bedell was happily rapping an hour after the shooting. Bedell uses a wheelchair because, according to court documents, when Bedell was 15 in 2019, he was a suspect in a shooting incident during which he sustained a gunshot wound that left him paralyzed. The other person in the incident was uncooperative, so no charges were filed, the officer wrote. In his opening statement Tuesday morning, Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Connor Brown told the jurors they'd be hearing from multiple witnesses who had put Bedell in the vehicle that carried the shooters right before the shooting occurred and right after the shooting occurred. When police located the vehicle at Hester's girlfriend's apartment, Bedell was inside the apartment. With Bolanos, police found an AR-style pistol hidden in a hole in the bedroom wall and bullets in a toilet. Next is a photo of three gentlemen in the courtroom. From the left, it's defense attorney Jeffrey Wood, prosecutor Jeffrey Harrell, and Judge T. Todd Myers having a private conversation during a break from the trial proceedings. Brown told jurors that Bedell posted a photo of himself holding the gun on social media 2 days before the shooting. Brown said jurors would also see a video Bedell made about an hour after the shooting in which he was happily rapping about a shooting. 2 years ago, a nightmare unfolded in downtown Springfield, Brown said. A sudden burst of violence shattered an otherwise ordinary night. Without warning, without provocation, gunfire erupted with not one shot, not two, but dozens of shots from different firearms, Brown said, calling the shooting a vicious attack. Jeffrey Wood, Bedell's public defender, also gave an opening statement Tuesday morning. Wood agreed with Brown that what occurred on the evening of November 14, 2023 was a nightmare, but Wood said witnesses have added, subtracted, and forgotten parts of their story since 2023, and that he would show there is plenty of reasonable doubt in the state cases against Bedell. The trial is expected to last a week. Bedell's trial began Monday, December 1st, with jury selection. A jury of 7 men and 7 women was selected from a panel of 70 Greene County residents, but one of those men was released on Tuesday morning due to his wife's health issues. The trial is expected to conclude before the weekend, Myers told the potential jurors. There is another photo of Alish Bedell. It's his booking photo from the Greene County Sheriff's Office. We really appreciate this, Myers said to the 70 people who filed his courtroom Monday. We could not do this without your involvement. This is our government in action. This is we, the people. Myers explained that summoning so many people to jury duty was necessary to find a jury that could be fair and impartial. We bring people in that are willing to listen to facts and evidence presented in a courtroom and make decisions about a case. And that requires all of us citizens to be actively involved, Myers said. Short of military service, many times this can be one of the biggest roles any individual can play in our government and our society. The search for a fair and impartial jury. Chief Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Joshua Harrell also spoke to the panel about the importance of jury selection. Mr. Bedell has been charged with some serious crimes. He deserves to have his case heard by a fair and impartial jury, Harrell said. Likewise, the state has been charged that serious crimes have occurred in Greene County, Missouri. The state is also entitled to have its case heard by a fair and impartial jury. The panel was questions about whether anyone had heard about the case from news reports or social media. If they had, they would be able to set anything they'd heard out of their minds and only consider evidence presented during the trial. Harrell explained to the jury that about 3 basic rules of criminal justice systems. The charge of the offense is not evidence of the offense. Bedell is to be presumed innocent unless and until he is proven guilty over the course of the trial, and that the prosecution must prove Bedell is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. The panelists were questions about their abilities to send a 21-year-old man to prison for life, without the possibility of parole. The mandated sentence if Bedell is convicted of first-degree murder. Harrell warned the panel about evidence that would include graphic photos of Froman's injuries and of Nugent's body at the scene and during the autopsy. The trial will have some rough material. Is there anyone here who feels that they may be uncomfortable having to listen to this kind of graphic or violent testimony? Harrell asked, raising his hand. I'm putting mine up here too, right? The truth of the matter is, no one likes looking at these kind of pictures or hearing that kind of testimony. We deal with this kind of evidence even though we're uncomfortable with it, because it's our job and our system of justice that requires us to do that, he continued. For anyone who is selected for this jury, that will be a part of your job too, to work through or around your discomfort with the evidence so that the case can be heard by a fair and impartial jury. And that's how our system of justice works. The question led many people in the jury panel to raise their hands. A few said they have experienced physical reactions to the sight of blood and injuries, like feeling sick or dizzy. One woman said she works in healthcare and believes seeing this type of evidence would likely make her biased against the defense. One man who served in the military spoke about the trauma he experienced during war. Another woman explained that she is a Franciscan sister. "We are peacemakers," she said. "I would have to turn away, and then I'm not being fair." The Daily Citizen is covering Bedell's trial, and will have a more complete story later this week.
And we see a picture of the O'Reilly headquarters here in Springfield. The caption saying, "O'Reilly Automotive is number 39 on the Forbes list of America's best companies." The headline, "Springfield area businesses make America's best companies list." This is by SBJ's staff. 2 Springfield area businesses are among the top companies in the country, according to Forbes. Forbes in November published its America's Best Companies list, ranking 500 businesses based on metrics such as financial performance, customer sentiment, employee ratings, and cybersecurity. Springfield-based auto parts retailer O'Reilly Automotive, Inc., NASDAQ, known on NASDAQ as Orly, is number 39 on the list. The company reported third quarter net income of $725.9 million, a 9.1% increase from $665.5 million a year earlier, according to past reporting. Ranking in at number 176 is Monette-based financial software company Jack Henry & Associates, Inc., past reporting indicating Jack Henry posted third quarter net income of $144 million, up from $119.2 million a year earlier. Berkshire Hathaway is number 1 on the America's Best Companies list, followed by number 2 Amazon and number 3 Royal Caribbean Group. O'Reilly Automotive is the highest ranking Missouri company on the list. Best in state, Springfield area companies also had a strong showing on a separate Forbes list released last month that evaluates employers at the state level. The America's Best in State list comprises 750 companies with criteria including consumer and employee ratings. Springfield area companies that ranked on the Missouri list are as follows: number 4, O'Reilly Automotive; number 6, Jack Henry & Associates; number 13, Prime, Inc., and number 16, Forvis Mazars, LLP.
Sorry, I'm still pulling an article up. That's okay. I do have some news about some businesses that have been opening for business. This one's a little bit older, from November 14th of this year, but it's about the McClure Veterinary Clinic. Our first photo is Dr. Meta Bacon from the McClure Veterinary Clinic. And this article is by Mike Cullinan. I'm so sorry if I pronounced that wrong. So this is about the McClure Veterinary Clinic. After making a move within sights of its former location in Ozark, McClure Veterinary Clinic opened October 27th in its newly constructed building at 5261 North 22nd Street Clinic. Clinic owner Dr. Meta Bacon said that Williams Construction Company was general contractor and handled design work for the roughly 10,000 square foot facility. Bacon said the clinic, which previously occupied 1,500 square feet and leased space at 5309 North Town Center Drive, opened in 2017 under her maiden name. Declining to disclose her investment for the construction project, which began in March, Bacon said she was simply out of room at her original location and reached the point of turning away clients. With the move, the clinic has added boarding and grooming to its list of pet services, which includes wellness exams, vaccinations, blood work, emergency care, and in-house lab testing. With expanding services in a larger facility that includes 5 exam rooms, Bacon said her now 9-employee clinic has added 2 staff members this month, with more expected to hire soon. And their phone number is 417-731-4071, and you can visit their website at mcclurevetclinic.com. And then there is another business called the Daily Blend, which is a new coffee shop. The Daily Blend has had its grand opening November 3rd in Plaza Towers at the intersection of Glenstone Avenue and Sunshine Street. Plaza Towers and the Daily Blend owner, Trent Overhue, said the coffee shop, which includes patio seating facing Sunshine Street, occupies roughly 1,500 square feet and employs around 15 on the first floor of the 10-story building. The 10-story, 130,000 square foot building. Overhue declined to disclose startup costs for the Daily Blend. Its menu includes drip and cold brew coffees, specialty drinks such as banana bread latte and turmeric ginger chai, smoothies, lemonades, energy drinks, and loaded teas are also on the menu. Breakfast options include muffins, pastries, bagels, yogurt bowls, and sandwiches. The shop also sells branded coffee mugs and tumblers. Menu prices range $2 to $8. Overhue purchased the building in an April foreclosure sale and signaled plans to revive the planned coffee shop along with the event center and restaurant. And their phone number is 417-603-8730, and their website is daily-blend.com. And the last one on this list is Pro Electric. Pro Electric LC, which has an office in Mount Vernon, was acquired October 1st by Des Moines, Iowa-based the Waldinger Corporation. Pro Electric, a Kansas City, Kansas-based company established in 1976 that opened its Springfield area office in 2019, is led by President and CEO Richard Barczyk. All 400 Pro Electric employees, including 350 union electricians, remain with the company following the acquisition. Terms of the deal were not disclosed. The Pro Electric team will incorporate Horton Electric Services Company, a Springfield business acquired by the Waldinger Corporation in August 2023. Pro Electric officials said the Horton Electric Service Company name is not going away. Additionally, Pro Electric held an October 31st groundbreaking for its expanding regional offices at 570 State Drive in Mount Vernon. The new office is designed to be 15,000 square feet. It's 5 times the size of the existing one at the same site. Officials say the new Pro Electric office is being developed by Rick Clark of Majestic Rentals LC. And their phone number is 417-202-7052, and their website is proelectric.com.
Well, everyone wants to know, where will Missouri State play its bowl game? Here are a few predictions. This is an article by Ryan Collingwood, and we see a picture of MSU football player Jerome Askren, and the Missouri State Bears will know their bowl destination in the coming days, reads the caption. This is a photo by Ellie Freistack. Missouri State learned late Saturday night that it was one of the 82 Football Bowl subdivision teams to earn a bowl bid. The first-year FBS and Conference USA member Bears, 7-5, won't likely know their bowl destination until after the College Football Playoff Selection Show on December 7th. But several national college football writers have predicted where they believe MSU will be playing its 13th game. Sports Illustrated is predicting the Birmingham Bowl in Birmingham, Alabama on December 29th at 1 p.m. That will be aired on ESPN. CBS Sports predicts the First Responder Bowl on December 26th at 7 p.m., also airing on ESPN. Missouri State was 7-5 versus Texas State 6-6. Dallas State, Dallas, Texas, SMU's Ford Stadium. ESPN, meantime, 2 ESPN college football writers predicted different bowl destinations for Missouri State. The Myrtle Beach Bowl, December 19th, 11 a.m., airing on ESPN. They're predicting Missouri State versus Arkansas State, and that game in Conway, South Carolina. And another prediction, the bowl game, Bahamas Bowl replacement, the date, site, and name to be determined. And they're predicting Missouri State will be taking on Utah State. Pro Football Network predicts the New Mexico Bowl on December 27th, 4:45 p.m. on ESPN will pit Missouri State versus University of Las Vegas. Albuquerque, New Mexico is the location of that game. Athlon Sports, meanwhile, predicts the Frisco Bowl on December 23rd at 1 p.m. Missouri State taking on Arkansas State, Frisco State at the Ford Center. And College Football News predicts the Frisco Bowl December 23rd at 1 p.m. on ESPN. Missouri State taking on Texas State, and that game is held in Frisco, Texas at the Ford Center.
And now I have a list of things to do here in Springfield brought to us by 417 Magazine. Let's see if I can find who wrote the article. It is by Kate Pollock. Oh my gosh, do you know how to say her last name?
Estes?
Estes, awesome. Okay, so starting today, December 3rd, we have Thank You for Being a Friend at Landers Theater. This Golden Girl drag troupe has toured the world and is making a stop in Springfield. The comedy tells the story of a pre-holiday gift exchange between Dorothy, Blanche, and Rose, and the winter storm that traps them in the airports. Where does Sophie come into the story? There's some audience participation that takes care of that. Also today we have Reindeer at the Farm at Cassidy Station. Make your kids' dreams come true by taking them to visit live reindeer, including festive photo ops at Cassidy Station at Estes Farms. There's also face painting, photos of Santa, hot chocolate s'mores, and fire pits. And that's today from 4 to 8 p.m. And December 4th, we have Sip and Stroll at the Mizumoto Japanese Stroll Garden for one night during Gardens Aglow, where the Stroll Garden is decked out in holiday lights through the season. Guests can come for a special Sip and Stroll event. There's charcuterie, hot drinks like cocoa, coffee, and cider. This event is for ages 21 and older. And then through December 7th, we have Frozen the Broadway musical at Landers Theater. Let it go, see Elsa navigate her ice-wielding powers while Anna embarks on an adventure to save her, all while Olaf, Kristoff, and Sven provide a little heart and humor on the side of this production by Springfield Little Theaters. And through December 30th, in Old Time Christmas at Silverado City, the number of lights covering the buildings at Silverado City is astonishing. It is an unbeatable cheerful glow. There's also a huge Christmas tree, holiday seasonal treats, and lots more. And they want you to keep an eye out for holiday pop-ups. The holiday pop-up roundup. 'Tis the season for your favorite haunts to get all dolled up for the holidays. Make the rounds to a few fun holiday pop-up bars that are adding a little festive cheer to the local nightlife scene. For their J-Ho-Ho-B holiday pop-up, J-O-B Public House has decked out its adjoined space with loads of festive decor to go along with the menu of holiday-themed cocktails. Christmas decor and twinkling lights cover just about every service at Brew Co. for its pop-up, The Jolly Elf, and its holiday cocktail menu offers drinks that use locally made Thai extract the spirits. Even Cassidy Station has gotten in with the fun with a Tipsy Reindeer pop-up, where they'll even be offering special events like karaoke night on December 20th and a disco party on December 27th. The newest addition on the list is Claus and Key, a super festive pop-up at the 14 Mill Market in Nixa. Well, it's actually specifically located at Whisper Mill, the hidden speakeasy inside 14 Mill Market, that you access via a sneaky little bookcase. That is it for that article.
Springfield's Rockwood Motor Court has been recognized as a historic hotel. This is an article by Marta Meese of the Springfield News-Leader. A Springfield hotel has been added to the national list of historic hotels found across the country. Rockwood Motor Court at 2204 West College Street was inducted into Historic Hotels of America per an announcement from Visit Springfield, formerly Springfield Convention and Visitor Bureau. The nearly 100-year-old motor court now joins the list of more than 300 hotels and resorts recognized for preserving and maintaining its historic integrity, architecture, and ambiance. Rockwood Motor Court dates back to 1929, built in the early Route 66 tourist court-style stone cottages around a central courtyard. It's recognized as the oldest operating motel on Route 66, according to a Visit Springfield News release. We do see a picture now. In fact, there are up to 12 pictures of the hotel, and we see the Shell gasoline sign there on the front, as well as it's veteran-owned. Rockwood Motor Court. A look at the Rockwood Motor Court on historic Route 66 in Springfield, reading the caption. As I mentioned, there are 12 pictures that spotlight the various cabins. The buildings underwent renovations and were brought back to life as a lodging establishment in 2019 by current owner and former Springfield Councilwoman Phyllis Ferguson. The motel consists of 10 differently themed units that align with the Route 66 history. To be selected for membership in Historic Hills Hotels of America, a hotel must be at least 50 years old, have been designated by the U.S. Secretary of the Interior as a National Historic Landmark, or listed in or eligible for listing in the National Register of Historic Places, and recognized as having historic significance, according to the release. Historic Hotels of America is the official program of the National Trust for Historic Preservation. This induction into the Historic Registry comes just in time for the Route 66 Centennial in 2026. Springfield selected as the host of the national kickoff celebration in April. In preparation of the event, expected to draw in tourists, the city has taken on several projects to revitalize and beautify the Mother Road.
And now I have an article from the Springfield News-Leader by Susan Sucks. This is from November 21st, so it is a little bit older. But it starts, a Springfield fast food restaurant was put on a risk control plan this past week after repeatedly having issues with a cooler not keeping perishable food items cold enough, according to a November 13th inspection report from the Springfield Greene County Health Department. Brahms Ice Cream at 1401 West Sunshine Street had a milkshake at 48 degrees, chocolate milk at 50 degrees, and eggnog at 50 degrees, and it's under counter cooler, according to the November 13th report. This is the third instance in a row of items being kept too warm, the report said. The person in charge did the process to defrost the cooler. The restaurant also had a second cooler at unsafe temps, which will not be used to store hazardous food items until it's maintained a temperature of 41 degrees or less. The risk control plan is meant to address the cooler's temperature being at 48 degrees Fahrenheit and the food inside at an even higher temperature. A risk control plan identifies the risk associated with the violation, what needs to happen to keep food safe, and how an establishment can accomplish that goal. Food that is between 41 degrees and 135 degrees and what is the United States Department of Agriculture calls the danger zone, meaning bacteria can grow quickly to levels that cause illness. Issues found during inspections fall into either priority or non-priority violations. Priority violations impact the safety of the food, such as cross-contamination between raw and ready-to-eat food, improper food temperature, and poor personal hygiene and employee health. Multi-priority violations can lead to an establishment being shut down. Non-priority violations alone do not directly affect food safety, such as dirty floors, sticky tabletops, or outside trash cans not being covered. Food inspections take place 1 to 3 times a year, depending on the type of food served, the population served, difficulty of food preparation, and past history. Restaurants preparing food from raw ingredients are inspected more often than convenience stores that serve only non-potentially hazardous foods, such as popcorns and soda, according to the Springfield Greene County Health Department. Each report identifies what happened at the establishment at the time. Consumers who want to know whether a violation is a one-time thing or a pattern are encouraged to refer to previous reports. Here are some food inspections from the last week. So Asian, 2941 East Battlefield Road, Springfield. They had no violations cited on the November 13th routine inspection. We have Amazing Buffet at 2501 South Campbell Avenue in Springfield. The November 12th routine inspection, they just discussed the importance of cleaning floors to help with pest prevention. No priority violations, and 4 non-priority violations. Observed floor not clean and storage area for sugar, flour, and rice. Observed waste baskets in women's restroom without covers, and observed no consumer advisories at sushi stations for food served raw, salmon and tuna. Observed door for stand-up cooler near workstation, does not close completely. Beef Maru on 1411 West Kearney Street in Springfield. They had a November 18th routine inspection. They had 2 priority violations. They observed chemicals stored above food preparation area, which is corrected on-site by relocating chemicals to the chemical storage shelf, and education provided. Observed can opener blade stored not clean, which was corrected on-site and education provided. 3 non-priority violations. Observed no test strips for chemical sanitizer in the facility. Education was provided. Observed metal food storage containers stacked not dry, which was corrected on-site and education given. Observed active leak from prep sink faucet in the back of the kitchen and from faucet of secondary employee hand sink. Education provided and services requested for both repairs. And there was that one at Brahms that we just read. And I'm not seeing any more. Oh, we have the cashew station at 620 East Battlefield Road in Springfield. November 19th routine inspections. They only had 1 priority violation. They observed 8 flies in the kitchen area. Education was given. And 1 non-priority violation. Observed daylight along the top and bottom of the exterior door. Education was given. And it looks like most of these other places didn't have any violations.
And in news from Mount Vernon, Missouri, we see a picture of Boreas freeze-dry employees who are preparing beef liver to be transported to the facility's deep freeze area. And the headline reading, Freeze-drying venture heats up in Mount Vernon. Boreas Freeze-Dry expects $5 million in the first-year revenue. This is by Mike Culligan. The exit of a manufacturing company from a roughly 43,000 square foot facility in Mount Vernon turned into an opportunity for a startup freeze-drying venture. Boreas Freeze-Dry LLC is about to complete its first year of operations and anticipates around $5 million in revenue, according to officials. Launched in January, Boreas is located at 601 West Hayward Drive in a building long used by manufacturer Positronic Industries, Inc. The facility also serves as a third-party production site for other companies, Boreas officials said. Boreas President Heath Mooneyham said the company's services include freeze-drying and processing for myriad industries, milling to achieve particle sizes for applications such as fine powders and coarse granules, and packaging options including pre-made pouches, case packing, labeling, and coating. The company also is certified to participate in U.S. government contracting for products such as military rations. The food world's a great big world out there, Mooney has said. I think now more than ever, we're starting to see a lot bigger push towards natural ingredients. And so that's kind of pushing a lot of people down the more natural path. And freeze drying is just an essential way to make that happen. Using traditional drying through dehydration, Mooneyham said food products can lose up to 60% of nutritional value, but by freeze drying, that percentage can increase to roughly 97%. Shelf life also is substantial. Stored properly, we can probably get it to last 25 plus years with freeze drying it, he said. We just do a wide variety of products. Ingredients for freeze drying products include fruits, vegetables, proteins, candy, sauces, and nutraceutical products such as aloe vera and microgreens. Mooneyham said organic, non-genetically modified kosher and halal options are available upon request. On a recent Monday, several of Boreas' roughly 15 employees were preparing raw beef livers for the freeze-drying process. That includes storage in deep freeze units before milling the beef into capsule form. We actually do a lot in the beef liver space, Mooneyham said. Beef liver is obviously really good for you, but nobody wants to eat it. I guess the concept is get all the nutrition out. We get it processed and freeze-dried and milled down to the powder form and then encapsulate it. People take it as pills, so you can get all the nutrition and not have to taste it. Mooneyham declined to disclose startup costs for the venture, which is owned by David Lose, noting it's significant. He said 4 of the commercial-grade machines used by the company in the freeze-drying process each cost in the $1 million to $2 million range. Opportunity knocks. In 2023, Positonic Industries, Inc. exited its Mount Vernon plant, constructed in 1999 on an 8-acre site as part of a years-long consolidation effort, according to past Springfield Business Journal reporting. The company manufactures high-end electronic connectors used in aerospace, industrial, and military applications. Boreas purchased the building in June of 2024, but took several more months to start production. Mooneyham says there's a long lead time on procuring equipment. One of its machines was ordered in March of 2024 and wasn't delivered until November. While Mooneyham had interest in freeze-drying a couple years before starting at Boreas, it was merely a hobby. We were in the specialty mushroom space like lion's mane, reishi, stuff like that. He said of himself and Blaine Conway, now Boreas Vice President of Sales. We kind of met through that space and I had started freeze-drying at home. Mooneyham began selling some freeze-dried products from his wife's garden in places such as the Ozarks Farmers Market. That led him and Conway on a nearly 2-year journey doing market research and learning as much as they could about commercial freeze-drying operations. It's a growing industry. According to a report from India-based Straits Research, the North American freeze-drying market size was valued at $709.5 million in 2024 and is projected to grow from $758 million this year to roughly $1.28 billion by 2033. We do everything from large-scale candy production to lots of aloe vera coming in out of Mexico, he said, noting that the company is certified with government agencies such as the U.S. Food and Drug Administration and U.S. Department of Agriculture. It comes in liquid, you freeze-dry it, and then we build it into a powder. And it's sold all over the world into cosmetics and all kinds of stuff. Never would have thought of something like that. Headline client experience. Boreas regularly signs non-disclosure agreements for its work, while Mooneyham said he keeps the company from disclosing an extensive list of its clientele. If you go to a Walmart, we produce some products in there, Mooneyham said. However, he did mention one of his local clients is David Bueller, co-owner of Bueller Organics LLC and Elder Farms LLC. Bueller said his Mount Vernon company has completed several runs with Boreas, each one processing around 2,000 pounds of elderberries at a time. Communication is clear, timelines are reliable, and their handling of the fruit has been excellent from start to finish, Bueller said via email. Boreas is also able to mill and package the freeze-dried powder, which has been a huge benefit in keeping the process streamlined and efficient. The presence of a facility like Boreas in Mount Vernon is incredibly important for the elderberry industry, Bueller said. Over a decade ago, the Bueller family converted its nearly 400-acre farm, established in 1899, from a traditional dairy farm through to a nutraceutical farm it is today, according to past reporting. Elder Farms' lineup includes elderberry honey, immune shots, syrups, and salves. Freeze-drying is such a critical step, and having this capability locally supports growers, processors, and product makers across the region. Bueller said it cuts down on transportation challenges, reduces turnaround times, and makes large-scale production far more feasible. A new machine for Boreas, which is named after the Greek god of the north wind, just came online a few weeks ago, Mooneyham said, and in keeping with the company's Greek mythology theme, the unit is dubbed Poseidon. 2 of its other machines are named Zeus and Medusa. That's how we measure how much product we can actually put in there, he said of Poseidon's 4,000-pound ice capacity, noting most of its other machines can hold trays of product at a capacity ranging from 1,400 to 3,000 pounds. He said Boreas tries not to limit itself to particular products, but there are limits to what they will freeze dry. Being dedicated to the quality side of it, you actually have to say no a lot more than you say yes, because it's pretty wild what people want freeze-dried out there, he said. A hard no would be like a new mother's placenta. Mooney has said there's still room to grow in the existing facility, noting the extra acreage provides room to expand the footprint if needed. The company is actively looking for more employees, such as food safety practitioners. He said the workforce could triple by this time next year. He says we're probably looking at adding at least 4 more machines in 2026, noting the company is contracting with clients according to its current capacity well into 2026. In this short amount of time, we've developed some pretty good relationships with suppliers, and now a lot of people, they actually call us.
So I am on the Springfield Daily Citizen. I'm on their Greene County death notices. I'm going to read some from the last few weeks, but there doesn't seem to be any very current ones. We have Donald Don L. Dame, at age 78 of Springfield, Missouri, went to be with the Lord on December 2nd in 2025. We have Annalie Shade Spellman, Marilyn Ruth Rocky Morgan, Marianne Rose Sievers, John W. Condra, Mary Ann Beck, John William Condra, Claire May Sewell, Ruth Kristen Lawson Jones, and Janet K. Waller Brown. And then I do have an article about the Springfield area 2025 to 2026 girls basketball players to watch by Ryan Collingwood. It features a photo with the logo of Springfield Daily Citizen with, I'm going to assume, the 5 girls we'll be talking about in this article. They're all very active playing in a basketball game. Will Kickapoo, Logan Rogersville, and Walnut Grove get back to Columbia? Will a talent-stocked Stratford team push through its brawny region and return to the state tournament after a 3-year absence? Those questions will answer themselves in the coming months. Until then, get to know the top returning players for the 2025-2026 season in the Daily Citizen coverage area. More than 24 earned postseason honors a season ago, including 5 All-State returnees, and Logan Rogersville's Haley Buckman, Stratford's Elise and Kinsley Larson, Kickapoo's Josie Salzar, and Ashgrove's Bristol Lastrell. So first we have Elsie Larson from Stratford. We have a photo of her. This is her senior year. She's wearing the Stratford name with the number 3. She is trying to make a pass from the offside of the court, and she is 5'10" senior guard and Colorado State pledge, earned All-State honors last season despite missing several games with a knee injury. The Indians still managed to go 21-8 and win a district title with mostly underclassmen, including Larson's then freshman sister Kinley, who also earned All-State distinction. Their coach and father, Dustin Larson, will have one of the most experienced and talent-stocked rosters in the area. Next is Haley Buckman from Logan Rogersville. Here we have a photo of her in her senior year, and she is number 18, trying to make a basket. Buckman averaged 19 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals for Logan Rogersville's team that placed 3rd at the Class 4 state tournament a year ago. The versatile 6-foot guard, SEMO commit, All-State selection, and 2-time conference MVP leads a senior-loaded Wildcats team aiming to cut down the nets in Columbia. We have Josie Salzar from Kickapoo wearing their pink uniform, repping number 25. Salzar helped the Class 6 Power Lady Chiefs place 3rd at state last season, averaging 11 points en route to All-State honors. The speedy, defensive-minded guard and jury commit will take on more of a leadership role for a Kickapoo team that returned several starters and gained some talented transfers. We have Bristol Lathrop from Ash Grove. We have a photo of her running with the ball. Unfortunately, I could not see what number she is wearing. And she is a 6'1" junior wing who is generating Division I recruit interest. Lathrop is one of the top small school talents in the region. The Class 2 All-State selection averaged 14 points, 8.2 rebounds, 1.5 assists, and a 1.5 steal for a game for a young Pirates team that reached the district title game a season ago. And next we have Kinley Larson from Stratford, repping number 2. We have a photo of her just trying to pass the ball forward in a game. And she is one of the top freshmen in all of Missouri a season ago. Larson, an all-state selection, is primed for a mammoth sophomore campaign along her Colorado State-bound senior sister and backcourt partner, Elise Larson, who we read about earlier. The Indians district includes a loaded Logan Riderville's team that placed 3rd in the Class 4 last season. Next, we have Avery Havens from Ozark. Havens was an all-district and first-team All-Central Ozark Conference selection as a sophomore, averaging 11.5 points a game for the 13-13 Tigers. Several experienced players returned for Ozark, including the 5'11" guard who can score in a variety of ways. We have Taylor Wood from Nixa, a 3-sport standout who has earned all-district honors in each of her pursuits. Wood returns after leading the Eagles to a 25-4 mark a season ago. The 5'10" senior wing averaged 11.5 points, 5.8 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals as a junior. Nixa lost much of its production to graduation, and the Eagles will look to Wood to shoulder a leadership role. Next, we have Elise Murray from Willard. There may not be a faster guard in the Ozarks than Murray, a standout sprinter who will run for jury next year. The 5'6" senior guard is also a 4-year starter at Willard, who earned all districts and all Central Ozark Conference honors after averaging 10.6 points, 3.9 rebounds, 3.1 assists, and 3.3 steals. The Tigers returned the bulk of their contributions from an 11-16 team. Next, we have Lily Moore from Hillcrest. We have a photo of Hillcrest Lily Moore during the Pink and White tournament at Drury University from December 31st of last year. Moore played a substantial role as a sophomore in Hillcrest's turnaround 19-9 season a year ago. The versatile 5'10" small forward who can score from inside and out and guard multiple positions. Moore averaged 13.5 points, 5.8 rebounds, and 2.3 assists on her way to all-district honors. She helped the Hornets to a state ranking in Class 5 much of the season. With 3 starters back, Hillcrest looks to continue its winning ways. We have Alif Binzer from Greenwood. Greenwood won 17 games a season ago with a young, promising group paced by 5-foot guard Alif Binzer. The Malcazar College Division III committed average 18 points and 6 rebounds a game and earned all districts and first state all-conference honors. With the return of 5 starters, the Blue Jays are thinking big. And next we have Allison Sapp, Ash Grove. Sapp was among the primary reasons Ash Grove went 17-9 and reached its Class 2 district title games a season ago. The crafty class of 2027 guard averaged 14.3 points, 4 rebounds, 3.7 assists, and 2.4 steals per game last season, earning all district and first team all-conference honors. Sapp, who fielded an officer from Drury earlier this year, and will team up with all-state junior wing Bristol Lathrop in what will be one of the most potent tandems in the area. And last, we have Regan Razuman from Logan Rogersville. We have a photo of her trying to make a basket, being guarded by 2 other girls on an opposing team. Rasmussen was a force inside for Logan Rogersville's team that took 3rd at Class 4 state tournament earlier this year. The 6'1" forward returns as a senior for a loaded Wildcats team after averaging 11 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 blocks per game. Rasmussen is an all-conference and all-district selection.
And he described himself as shocked, a local electrician named IBEW Apprentice of the Year. And we see a picture of a very happy young man, the caption reading, "Top honor, Chase Blackburn, the 2025 Apprentice of the Year in North America for the International Brotherhood of Electricians." He's a member of IBEW Local 453. And it looks like that he just stopped in the middle of a work day for his picture. He's in a denim shirt and khaki pants and has his tools close at hand. As I said, he described himself as shocked that he had been tapped as Apprentice of the Year. And the kudos for Chase Blackburn do not represent merely a local honor. The award coming from North America's largest electrical union, whose website boasts of more than 870,000 members and retirees. Blackburn finished his 5-year apprenticeship program this year and is now a journeyman electrician. He was nominated in a letter by a fellow apprentice, Corey O'Keefe, something that Blackburn said compounds the honor. In a video prepared by the International IBEW about the award, O'Keefe offered high praise for his classmate. Whenever he's around, the room is lighter, O'Keefe said. You feel more motivated. You feel excited to be there. An apprenticeship with IBEW Local 453 is now a 4-year program, but Blackburn is one of the last apprentices who completed a 5-year plan. Local 453 business manager Kevin McGill said the first indication of Blackburn's selection was a call from the international office to make sure he was worthy of the award. He said there are around 50,000 apprentices in the organization. McGill said he gave an enthusiastic endorsement to Blackburn, who had established himself as a gifted electrician and an enthusiastic learner. Apprentices learn the National Electrical Code book backwards and forwards, and they also build practical job experience. Most of Blackburn's was with Horton Electric Service Company, LLC, acquired in 2023 by the Waldinger Corporation. Blackburn joined Horton in November 2020 after a brief stint with United Electric Service, LLC. These days, he runs a crew doing industrial work at 3M Springfield, where he heads up his own team of apprentices and journeymen. They needed a change of leadership out there, and I kind of got thrown into the fire, he said. They've seen me for a few years. They know what I can take on. Blackburn said as a kid he was interested in learning how things worked. You couldn't leave me sitting still for too long without me tearing something apart, he says. All my toys were in pieces. Anything I could get my hands on, I wanted to figure out how it worked. My parents had to lock the tools up, or who knows what I would get into when I was a kid. He spent a year studying computer science at the University of Missouri. I kind of had a change of heart up there, he said. I don't know if I could envision my everyday work day just being at a computer. I'm too busy-bodied. I have to move around. He reached out to some relatives who were former electricians, and they recommended the IBEW apprenticeship. I was looking for something that I could do where I could use my body and move around and get a change of scenery, but also use my brain. Ironically, Blackburn said he spends about 80% of his time behind a computer in his current role. I always look at myself through a critical lens and dissecting myself all the time. How can I be better at this or that, he said. Jeb Venable, the local's assistant business director, was a first-year journeyman when Blackburn was new to the apprenticeship program. Venable said Blackburn was the kind of apprentice who made him better at his own job. Whenever you're in that situation, you try to find the ghost in the machine, assess the issue. Venable said whenever Chase showed up in those situations, he knew where to be and knew what to get ready for. Okay, let's get the wire up on the spools. Let's start taking up the impact. Let's start getting the material that we're going to need. Venable said Blackburn recognized what it took to be a reliable hand. Brian Hensley, training director, said he was involved with Blackburn since he started in the application process and got him started with the contractor. I put him with Horton Electric pretty quickly, probably when he was 4 months in, and they never let go of him, he said. Hensley introduced Blackburn to the profession as his first-year teacher. One thing I noticed pretty quickly is that electricity made sense to Chase just naturally. There are some people who just understand how the components work together, and that's something you take notice of pretty quickly. He just kind of got it. And Hensley said he has been hands-off with Blackburn since he finished his first-year class. I never had to deal much with Chase because he was on the right track, he said. Blackburn said during his apprenticeship he always carried a notebook in his pocket and used it to write down measurements and the materials he needed, but it had another purpose too. Anytime I heard a word or someone talk about something that to me, being new to the trade, I didn't know what it meant, I wrote it down in there. I wrote what is a solenoid or what is a high voltage transformer or line reactor or any of those things. I would go home at the end of the day and I'd look up all those things that I'd written down throughout the day and I would study it. That confession takes some of the magic away, Blackburn said, though he adds he was fortunate to have good people around him who were willing and able to answer questions instead of just focusing on the task at hand. There wasn't a question I could ask that I couldn't get an amazing answer, he said. I had great mentors around me the whole time. Blackburn said when he learned about the award in May, he was shocked, a feeling most electrical workers studiously avoid. He was called up to the union hall with all the other apprentices, and they watched a video from the International Office of the previous year's Apprentice of the Year Award presentation. Then McGill stepped up and announced that Blackburn was this year's winner, at which point someone dumped an entire cooler of wire nuts on his head. I couldn't imagine, he said. I thought I did a good job, and I was trying to do better each day, but I never thought I'd receive national recognition for trying to do my best.
I have another article from the Springfield Citizen. And this one is Springfield Police share tips for keeping porch pirates at bay. Doorbell cameras and scheduled deliveries can help keep your package safe. This is by Elise Dust. The first photo that we have here is a line of 4 Amazon Prime delivery trucks parked in a row. And the photos from the Wikimedia Commons. The holiday season is now in full swing, and with that comes an abundance of online shopping. Following Cyber Monday, there's expected to be an increase in online shopping and deliveries in these next few weeks. And the Springfield Police Department is offering a warning to those who are expecting packages this holiday season. According to the Springfield Police Department, porch thefts typically increase during the season and are a crime of opportunity. A porch theft can happen in seconds, said Lieutenant Jennifer Charleston, commander of the Property Crime Section in the news release. A few simple preventative measures can make a major difference in protecting your deliveries. Springfield Police Department recommends that online shoppers take certain security measures and integrate protective technology into their homes, installing security cameras or video doorbells, using smart cameras with motion detection, and registering cameras with the Springfield Police Department can give residents a leg up, not only in prevention of stolen packages, but also increasing the general safety of their homes. Visible cameras can deter potential thefts who do not want to be caught on video, Springfield Police Department said in a press release. These devices can trigger lights and send alerts directly to your phone, providing real-time awareness of activity around the house. Another recommended precaution is potentially choosing an alternative delivery location. Instead of having packages delivered to their porches when they are not home, Springfield Police Department recommends residents choose a different delivery option, such as having packages delivered to workplaces, P.O. boxes, or Amazon lockers. Another option is to have items shipped to a store if possible. Residents are also advised to track and manage their shipments to know when packages will be arriving. Monitoring tracking information can inform shoppers when their package may be delivered, so it can be quickly retrieved by the resident or even a trusted neighbor. It is also recommended to schedule or request delivery times when possible. And if you are a victim of a porch theft, you can make a report online or by calling the Springfield Police Department. And that article was by Elise Dust, who is an intern at the Springfield Daily Citizen.
And from the Springfield Business Journal, CMH has hired Cox Health VP as new Chief Medical Officer. This is an article written by Jeff Pickle, and we see a picture of Dr. Stacy Rogers. The caption reading, she's scheduled to join Citizens Memorial Hospital in January. Citizens Memorial Hospital has hired a member of Cox Health's leadership team as its next Chief Medical Officer. Dr. Stacy Rogers is scheduled to start at CMH's Chief Medical Officer on June 5th, according to a news release. She'll succeed Dr. Ron Evans, who is retiring after 8 years in the role and 33 years as CMH's Bolivar Family Care Center as a family practice physician. A 17-year employee of Cox Health, Rogers currently works as the health system's vice president and chief transformation officer. She says she's excited to join CMH and work alongside a dedicated group of clinicians and staff. Rogers said in a release, "Together we will continue to strengthen patient care and explore new ways to support the health needs of our rural communities." As Chief Medical Officer at CMH, Rogers is slated to oversee clinical strategy, patient safety efforts, and medical innovation strategies. Rogers was selected from a field of 7 applicants following a nationwide search, said Tamara Heights-Peak, CMH Director of Marketing. Her experience leading organizational change and aligning strategy, operations, and technology will be valuable as we continue improving care for the patients we serve throughout the region, CMH CEO Michael Calhoun said in the release. At Cox Health, Rogers' executive duties will be absorbed by other vice presidents, said Randy Berger, the health system's administrative director of corporate communications.
And then this next article is from, again, the Springfield Daily Citizen, titled "Springfield State Representatives Expect Budget Challenges in Upcoming Legislative Session." First event at the Library Center's new Hatch Auditorium is a legislative forum featuring 3 Springfield State representatives. And this article is by Joe Hadstall, posted about 4 hours ago. First, we have a photo. It is the Springfield Chamber President Matt Morrow leading a legislative panel featuring state representatives Stephanie Hine, Betsy Fogel, and Melanie Stinnett on Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025 at the Hatch Auditorium. The photo is by Joe Hadsall. It features them sitting in what looks like very comfy chairs in front of a blue backdrop on a stage. 3 Springfield state representatives praised each other's ability to work across the aisle for the betterment of Springfield on Tuesday, December 2nd, in a forum where they acknowledged tough budget cuts loomed over the upcoming 2026 legislative session. Republican Representative Melanie Stinnett and Democratic Representatives Betsy Fogel and Stephanie Hine participated in a forum at the Hatch Auditorium inside the Library Center. The 3 discussed a wide range of issues, but many of those issues eventually came back to the budgets that lawmakers will set next year. Moderated by Matt Moreau, president of the Springfield Area Chamber of Commerce, the forum gave the three lawmakers a chance to talk about the successes of the past year and the challenges that wait. The state is anticipated to face a $1 billion shortfall for its 2027 budget, which will be set during the legislative session that runs from January to May. At the same time, Governor Mike Kehoe is looking to eliminate state income tax and wants the General Assembly to figure out how to get that done. Hines said that the challenge of reducing funding and shortfalls is something no one in the General Assembly is fully prepared to deal with. And we have a photo of Stephanie Hine speaking with an attendee following the legislative forum. She's standing in her sweater in front of the stage, and we could not see the gentleman that she's talking to. We are going to have to make decisions that no one currently serving has ever made before on a budget because of term limits, Hines said. I'm really concerned about how we prioritize what we value, what gets funded, and how it gets funded. The forum, which lasted for about an hour, featured a series of questions posed by Morrow. About 20 minutes were spent addressing questions and comments from an audience of almost 80. Representative Jeremy Dean and Senator Lincoln Ho were also scheduled to participate, but were unable to attend the event organized by the Springfield Greene County Library District. Hine and Stennett were first elected in 2022 and are serving their second terms. Fogel is serving her third term after first being elected in 2020. Fogel and Stennett have announced campaigns for the Missouri Senate seat held by Hugh, who will be term limited. The two did not spar in advance of the campaign. They even shared appreciation of being able to work across the aisle for issues that matter to Springfield. Fogel said part of that stems from how Springfield is split between the two parties. All three of us represent very competitive House districts, where we have to go out and work very hard to get elected. That breeds a kind of legislator who wants to work across the aisle, Fogel said. We've had a state senator and Lincoln Ho who has modeled that for us, that working across the aisle is a strength. And I think all of us, regardless of political persuasion, our first thought is this good for Springfield? And then after that, is this good for my political party? I think in other parts of the state, that gets reversed. Senate said that some of the legislation important to her is passed with bipartisan support, highlighting a postpartum benefit extension. When I was working on that legislation, there wasn't a day where I wasn't working bipartisanly, and I think that showed on the vote, Senate said. We do work well together. We try to have conversations with one another and be respectful of one another, give each other a heads up on things coming up, and I'm proud of that. I think when you talk with legislators from other parts of the state, they are jealous of what we have. In addition to addressing Kehoe's desire for state income tax eliminations, the representatives spoke about how their policy on taxes in general, in light of how lawmakers have sought to reduce other taxes. The library district has been particularly concerned about proposals to reduce property tax, a main source of funding for libraries, schools, fire districts, and more. Those districts are currently dealing with the effects of a property tax freeze for senior citizens. All three of the legislators agreed that taking a holistic view of taxes was necessary before agreeing to cut further. Hines said the state already has limitations in place to keep taxes from increasing too quickly, and ideas to further cut property taxes could be detrimental to taxpayer services. Those entities that rely on the tax base are public schools, our community colleges, libraries, fire, ambulance districts. We all value those entities, so we have to figure out how to do that, Hines said, and where the replacement income is going to come from. If we make those decisions, my question is always, how are we going to make up for this? Stitt said that generations other than seniors are struggling, and the balance will help. While praising Greene County's transparency in collections, she was skeptical that other counties across the state were collecting fairly. And we have another photo. It's of Representative Melanie Stinnett speaking with an attendee following a legislative forum that was on Tuesday, December 2nd. She's standing talking, and you can see other guests talking in the background. I think we have made some good, strong gains with senior property tax freeze. I think we are looking at the populations that property taxes are really impacting the most. We have to look at it from a balanced perspective, Stinnett said. I think we have to look at it from a transparency perspective. I'm grateful we live in Greene County. I do think there are some other parts of the state where transparency has been a concern, and that's why these things have boiled up. Vogel said that the tax policy requires a wide view. The tough decisions that await next year in Jefferson City are partly because of national and worldwide factors. While she supported the senior property tax freeze, she raised concerns about attempts to replace revenue through different mechanisms other than income tax. We can't pay our bills if we don't have the revenue, and I would argue that the bills we pay are really important, Vogel said. Some of the ideas Kehoe's floated around are things like increasing sales tax or increasing what services we tax. That's very scary to me, because I think we would end up doing is shifting the tax burden from people who could afford it a little better and pushing it on the backs of working families in Springfield. The average income of my district is $38,000. The three reps also addressed comments and questions raised by audience members on topics including mental health concerns, law enforcement, a renter's bill of rights, and the housing crisis. A question with the repeal of sick leave that voters passed in 2024 drew a larger conversation about Missouri's initiative petition process. Voters said they wanted it, and they voted for it. It is my responsibility to respect that choice, Hines said. Is there room for improvement the way that it was written? Sure. But to eliminate it altogether, that's a challenge. Not for just a piece of legislation, but because the people said this is what is important to us. Fogo said that undoing the will of the people is one of the more frustrating parts of being in Jefferson City. And we have another photo of Representative Betsy Fogel speaking with an attendee following that legislative forum on Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025. This has happened multiple times in my tenure, where you go to Jefferson City and, in my opinion, this legislature tells voters that they think they know better, Fogel said. It's not really a party issue, it's a power issue. I think sick leave is an example of something where voters went out, did what they were supposed to do, and then the General Assembly came back a few months later and repeals it. I think that is a slippery slope. Stinnett said that such measures placed on the ballot through an initiative petition don't get the vetting and polishing that the legislators' committees apply to bills. She voted for the repeal based on feedback she heard from small business owners. Unlike the legislative process, it doesn't go through a committee hearing or public comment period. When it came to us in the legislature, I feel it was really important to listen to people, Stinnett said. We heard from some small business, including those that provide child care and health care, and a portion of that measure was very concerning to them. And that is the end of the article.
And from the Springfield Business Journal, this is about Fox Theater putting their best boot forward at an Ozark Jubilee tribute. And we see a picture, the caption says, "Back on View," and murals by artist George Kiefler formally covered are back on view at the historic Fox Theater. And we see a couple of patrons looking at a guide and also checking out the murals. There's a whole slideshow of the murals, and including a couple of names that you're about to hear in this article. Renovations to venue coincide with Galois Fox Management Pact. This is written by Karen Crago. A renovated lobby greeted visitors to the historic Fox Theater on the downtown Springfield Square during the Ozark Jubilee Live Tribute Concert on November 21st. Sean Fitzgibbons, Executive Director of History Museum on the Square, Inc., which operates the former movie theater and vaudeville venue, kept the upgrades under wraps until the event, which aimed to recapture the energy of the Ozark Jubilee country variety television program that was produced in Springfield in the 1950s. The venue upgrades are timely, Fitzgibbons said, with new management of the Fox by the Galois Theater under Galois Center for Arts and Entertainment Executive Director Jeff Steele. That agreement started in September, according to past Springfield Business Journal reporting, which quoted Fitzgibbons as saying Fox ownership hasn't changed, but show booking, promotion, and shaping of the guest experience would. Though country music performances were the order of the night, the stars of the show for Fitzgibbons were the three historic murals just outside of the performance space, newly displayed after being covered for protection for several years. The idea was to open the murals up, Fitzgibbons said. They've been under wraps for such a long time because we didn't want them to be damaged. Fitzgibbons said, revealing the hidden murals kicked off a larger vision for lobby renovation. We thought we could open those up, put glass in front of them so you could see them without damaging them. But then we thought if you're going to do the glass, we need to do the carpet. If we're going to do the carpet, and then it just snowballed from there, he said. The murals, completed in 1949 by artist George Kiefler, highlight local landmark and events. They depict Missouri State University's administrative building, Drury University's Stone Chapel, and a close-up of a skirmish at the Civil War Battle of Wilson's Creek. Kiefler painted many of the murals at Silver Dollar City, including the original murals at the Fire in the Hole indoor roller coaster attraction, Fitzgibbons said. Next up is a true restoration of the murals, which will require money and expertise. I thought if we're not going to be able to give them the care that they deserve, according to Fitzgibbons, we should at least protect them and open them to the public so at least the public can enjoy them. He said eventually, hopefully, that enjoyment will translate into a funding campaign to restore them. Part of the restoration will be contending with varnish put over the murals before the museum owned the site. That was a well-meaning gesture to attempt to preserve the art, but it was not an archivally recommended one, according to Fitzgibbons. Fitzgibbons said Melvin Painting Company, Inc. painted the lobby areas for the renovation with glasswork by Springfield Glass Company. The contractor was Kenmore Construction, Inc. It was a real team effort, he said. He said he and Steele have come up with a laundry list of upgrades yet to come for the Fox. We're really going to think hard about what needs to be done, Fitzgibbons said. We really need to sit down and think about what Phase 2 is going to be. I don't want to do something and then 2 years later have to undo it. Fitzgibbons did not have an exact cost for the total renovation, which will be ongoing. As part of the partnership with the Galois, Fitzgibbons said the venue got a new ticket system with e-tics. Steele procured a signing bonus, Fitzgibbons said, and with it they were able to build a bathroom in the basement beneath the stage for performers. Again, he did not offer cost estimates. Previously, performers had to go through the Fox lobby to use the same restaurants as audience members, he said. We're slowly but surely turning that into a nice green room, he said. We're looking for more ways to really enhance our guest experience. Prior to the Jubilee show, Steele, wearing a string tie for the occasion, greeted visitors in the lobby. He pointed out the lighting in the lobby, upgraded with all LED fixtures, plus a new color scheme and new carpets. Steele said the partnership was off to a strong start after Galois personnel coordinated sales for a 10-day run of Hairspray by the Mosaic Arts Collective. After that show finished its run October 26th, renovations began to be completed just before showtime. We just uncovered the glass about 45 minutes ago, so this is the first time the murals have been seen, he said. Steele said the city's theater community is thriving. As an example, he cited upgrades at The Landers, the home of Springfield Little Theater, which recently installed a video wall, among other improvements. The Fox served as the home of the museum while construction was underway for its permanent location on Park Central Square at its intersection with Boonville Avenue in the former Barth's department store building. The museum moved into that 18,000 square foot location in 2019, according to its website. According to Steele, that gives the Fox an opportunity to shine in the way it was originally intended. Now it's getting come back to its roots, and I think the timing is right for that with the centennial of Route 66 and the Galois centennial. Steele said the partnership has been really fun since they worked together for decades before. Steele previously told SBJ the two theater venues shared personnel, including projectionists and maintenance staff for decades. Hairspray was the first Fox performance under Galois management, Steele said, and that was a 10-night run, followed by closure for renovations that were planned before the partnership began. We're just rounding third, making sure they get home okay, he said. They did a marvelous job keeping it on schedule for tonight. John Sellers, executive director emeritus of the museum, had some announcing duties during the show, but before it kicked off, he reflected on the changes to the space over time. While the renovations offer a dramatic facelift, Sellers was quick to note that they did not restore the Fox quite to the pinnacle of its grandeur with appointments that once rivaled the lush decor of the Galois. It was very ornate, plaster and grill work and stuff like that. It had a huge pipe organ that sat right there, he said from his podium beside the stage. Sellers offered some historical notes on the Jubilee, which he said were always filmed at the Jewel Theater, now the site of Jubilee Park, on the southeast corner of South Jefferson Avenue at East St. Louis Street, or at the historic Landers Theater located downtown on Walnut Street. The Fox opened in 1916 as part of a theater chain called the Electric Theater, featuring both moving pictures and vaudeville. Its first performance was billed as Two Zoomin' Arabs, the whirlwind of the desert, per Sellers. A fire at the theater caused massive damage in late 1946, according to the History Museum on the Square website, and it reopened after 2 years for movie audiences. From 1985 to 2014, the Abundant Life Church was housed in the venue before the History Museum took ownership.
And now I have, from Springfield News-Leader, the Missouri Lottery Mega Millions pick 3 winning numbers for December 2nd, 2025. And this is just from their staff reports. The Missouri Lottery offers several draw games for those aiming to win big. Here's a look at the December 2nd, 2025 results for each game. So the winning Mega Million numbers for December 2nd were 17, 25, 26, 53, and 60, the Mega Ball being 16. And then the winning pick 3 numbers from December 2nd. The midday were 2, 1, and 4. The midday wild was 9. The evening was 7, 8, and 2. And the evening wild was 0. The winning pick 4 numbers from the December 2nd drawing. Midday were 9, 4, 4, and 1. The midday wild was 7. Evening was 8, 5, 9, and 1, and the evening wild was 9. The winning Cash for Life numbers from the December 2nd drawing were 1, 9, 23, 31, 49, and the cash ball was 3. The winning Cash Pop numbers from December 2nd, the early bird was 3, morning 7, matinee 8, primetime 9, and night owl 7. The winning Show Me Cash numbers were 6, 15, 22, 24, and 32. And then here's a little bit of, if you're a winner, how to claim your lottery prize. All Missouri lottery retailers can redeem prizes up to $600. For prizes over $600, winners have the option to submit their claim by mail or in person at one of the Missouri Lottery regional offices by appointment only. To claim by mail, complete a Missouri Lottery winner claim form, sign your winning ticket, and include a copy of your government-issued photo ID along with the complete IRS Form W-9. Ensure your name, address, telephone number, and signature are on the back of your ticket. Claims should be mailed to Ticket Redemption, Missouri Lottery, P.O. Box 7777, Jefferson City, Missouri 65102-7777. For in-person claims, visit the Missouri Lottery headquarters in Jefferson City or one of the regional offices in Kansas City, Springfield, or St. Louis. Be sure to call ahead to verify hours and check if an appointment is required. And then, well, I was going to give you the address, but the link doesn't exist.
Okay. And of course, December 3rd, several events are celebrated on this day. For instance, this is Choose Women Wednesday, and we see a picture of two ladies in front of a computer monitors. Also, it's the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. We see a picture of some basketball and some players in wheelchairs playing basketball. It's also Let's Hug Day, and yes, two people are hugging. The picture is outdoors with a horse in the background, photobombing. Also, Make a Gift Day. Picture of a gift, and one that caught my particular attention was National Apple Pie Day, and I was just see a picture of a delicious apple pie. Apple pie, of course, is seen as being very American, but just how American? Well, there is not one but two National Apple Pie Days in a year, and it's almost a certainty you have heard the phrase, as American as apple pie. Well, how ironic it is then that apple pies did not even originate in the United States, nor did apples. Apples came from Asia. Their seeds and cuttings were brought to the Americas by Europeans during colonial times. Prior to this, only crab apples were grown in the Americas. The first apples were brought to the Western Hemisphere, were tart, and were used for making cider. And it wasn't until around 1800 when apples were better suited for pies with a higher acidity and crispness. And they also began being grown in the United States. It was also around this time that Johnny Appleseed began traveling the country and helping solidify the association of the apple with America. The earliest record of the phrase American as apple pie dates to 1924, when it appeared as an advertisement in the Gettysburg Times. The association between apple pie and America became inextricable by World War II, when American soldiers would tell journalists that they were fighting for mom and apple pie. This eventually led to the phrase as American as mom and apple pie, and it became a prevalent saying in the United States during the post-war years. The earliest known apple pie recipe, printed by Geoffrey Chaucer in England in 1381, included apples, spices, raisins, figs, pears, and saffron in a pastry crust. A Dutch apple pie recipe was found that dates back to 1514, and Dutch apple pies usually have a lattice pastry top. French, German, and Italian apple pies all appeared in recipe books before American colonies had been settled, and many early apple pie recipes didn't include sugar. Some early pies were made in inedible containers called coffins. Today, apple pie usually has a bottom and top crust and can be served hot or cold, and of course topped with ice cream, custard, and whipped cream.
I have a column by Steve Pokin on the Springfield Daily Citizen, and it's one of his answer mans. Why is the area north of Springfield called Ebenezer? He posted this on December 1st in 2025. First, we have a photo of the Ebenezer Methodist Church and the Ebenezer Fire Protection District. And so here is the question he got. Why is there an area in Greene County called Ebenezer and an Ebenezer Fire Protection District? Was there a family named Ebenezer? From his newsroom colleague, Jack McGee. He says no, it does not come from a family by that name. In fact, I have never met anyone with the name Ebenezer, first or last name. Of course, there's Ebenezer Scrooge, but he's the character of writer Charles Dickens. But there are many churches with the word Ebenezer in their name. That's the clue. And now we have a close-up photo of the Ebenezer Methodist Church, showing that their worship services start at 9 a.m. and Sunday schools at 10:15. They were founded in 1837, and their pastor is John Amon. The Ebenezer we're talking about is from the Bible, specifically 1 Samuel chapter 7. In summary, the Israelites are at war with the Philistines. The Israelites are fearful, and Samuel rallies them and says, God is with us, and the fired up Israelites went out and struck them down, them being the Philistines. They struck them down as far as Bethkar, in fact. That's where Samuel took a stone and placed it there as a memorial, like an empty cup, an empty can. Ebenezer in Hebrew means stone of help. Many religious people see the word Ebenezer as a message that God has helped us come this far. It's most likely the settler was Elizabeth Robertson. The writer has read several news stories about the area of Greene County called Ebenezer, which is roughly 7 miles north of Springfield, roughly between Highway 13 and H, Kansas Expressway, and Glenstone Avenue. I've also learned that the residents of Ebenezer are called Ebezerites. Regardless, there are various historical accounts of which white settlers came to the area around 1831, looked around, saw 2 nearby springs, and said, not necessarily in these exact words, I shall call this area Ebenezer because God has helped me get this far. What? No Trader Joe's? And there is a photo of the Ebenezer Fire Protection District, the Pleasant View Station 5. It's a little worn down in front of their fire station. He says he's going to stick with what Laura Nichols tells me about the name Ebenezer because she's the director of the Ebenezer Historical Society, whose motto is moving Ebenezer forward into the past. She lives in Ebenezer and is a member of the Ebenezer First Methodist Church at 1795 West Farm Road 56. It is most likely that Elizabeth Robertson, who named the area Ebenezer in 1831, Nichols tell me. Robertson settled the area when she arrived with her adult children, 7 adult sons, and 7 adult daughters, and their family. Her husband died during the trip from Tennessee, Nichols says. Robertson, a familiar name in Greene County. The area became Robertson Township, and Elizabeth progeny are why there is a Robertson Avenue in Springfield and why there was a Robertson School in Springfield. The school district declared Robertson School located at 1100 East Kearney Street surplus property in 2024 and sold it in 2025. At one point, Nicole says the area was incorporated as a village and had a post office, but I don't think we ever had a mayor, she adds. It voluntarily became unincorporated years ago in order to form a road district, she says. The post office is gone, as are the handfuls of businesses that were once Ebenezer. Outside the Ebenezer First Methodist Church is a historical marker. It gave you the mistaken impression that the church itself dates to 1831. It does not. The first Ebenezer Methodist Church was constructed elsewhere in the Ebenezer area. And now we have a photo of that historical site, and I will read it to you now. Historic site, Ebenezer, 1831. Ebenezer and Robertson Township was settled in 1831. Among the earliest inhabitants were members of the Painter and Robertson families and 2 veterans of the American Revolution, Elish Headley and David Bedell. James H. Slavens, Methodist circuit writer, appointed to the James Fork of White River Mission in 1831, organizing a class here, and in 1832 they built a church, naming it Ebenezer. Thus far the Lord has led us on. 1 Samuel 7. Unfortunately, there's bird poop covering the rest of that number. The church gave the hamlet its name. In 1842, the Springfield Circuit voted to build a high school of the manual labor system on the campground here, but it was not until 1848 that Southwest Missouri College, under the direction of Reverend A.H. Mathis, opened its doors. The school closed at the beginning of the Civil War, but Ebenezer remained a thriving rural trade center for many years. Springfield Greene County American Revolution Bicentennial Committee, dedicated December 1977. The Ebenezer First Methodist Church that stands today was constructed in 1893, says Nichols. It is listed as a Greene County historical site. And that is the end of that Answer Man column.
And in entertainment news, we asked the master gardener, who in this case is Helen Vanilla, discussing the good of winter kill cover crops. The question, what are winter kill cover crops? What are the reasons for planting a cover crop in my garden at the end of the season? She answers, planting a cover crop in your garden after harvest is one technique to help enrich the soil and manage both cool season weeds and erosion during the garden's dormant season. The advantages of a cover crop are many, which preferred to leaving bare soil over the winter. A winter-kill cover crop is one that is planted in the fall, will grow for a time, surviving several hard frosts, but will eventually die during a hard winter. Crops used for this purpose include oats, black oats, oilseed radish, and mustard. Cover crops help increase soil organic matter and boost soil fertility while helping stabilize the soil and slow erosion. Another plus factor with using a cover crop is improved drainage and loosening of heavy or compacted soil. The winter-killed dead plants will form a mulch-like mat that also suppresses cool season weeds. Other cover crops such as winter rye, winter wheat, daikon radish, or a mixture of several are grown for their winter hardiness and do not die over winter, but are worked back into the soil in the spring as a form of, and in quotations here, green compost. The next question, what plants like coffee grounds added to the soil? What amount or proportion of coffee grounds should be added to amend clay soil? And the answer, coffee grounds are beneficial to many acid-loving plants such as azaleas, roses, blueberries, and hydrangeas, and can be worked in around these plants to help with the pH of the soil. I'd recommend using them sparingly and recommend a soil test before doing extreme altering of the soil pH. A good use for coffee grounds would be to add them to your compost, particularly if you have large quantities of coffee grounds. Coffee grounds alone are not the amendment of choice, but coffee grounds added to compost would be helpful. The addition of leaf litter and compost to clay soil is the better way to loosen heavy clay soil. And the last question, how can I propagate my snake plant? And Helen answers, the snake plant is one of the easier houseplants to propagate. Start with removing one whole leaf from your original plant, then cut into sections 3 to 4 inches long. Be sure to mark the top and bottom of each piece as the direction each piece is planted in the rooting medium. Either water or soil will make a big difference. In planting in soil, wait a few days for a callus to form on the cut ends, which will help keep down bacterial growth. If rooting in water, the pieces can be placed immediately. Both methods are good, with rooting being easier to monitor in water, but with more chance of rotting. The water should be changed every couple of weeks, and it will take 6 to 8 weeks for the cuttings to form roots.
I have another item that's going on in Springfield this time of year. We have the 50/50 Half a Century of History happening at the History Museum on the Square, and its address is 154 Park Central Square, Springfield, Missouri, 65806. This has been going on since October 8th of this year and will continue to January 4th of next year. This has been recurring weekly on Sunday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. A little bit of information about it is the History Museum on the Square is proud to announce its opening of its newest exhibit, 50/50 Half a Century of History. The special exhibit honors 50 individuals whose vision, dedication, and leadership have shaped the museum over the past 5 decades. From Catherine Kitty Cox Lipscomb, whose idea and leadership during Springfield's USA Bicentennial planning in 1975 sparked the creation of a history museum, to Rick and Mary McQuarrie, whose passions and generosity helped renovate the museum into the vibrant institution it is today. 50/50 celebrates the people who turned a community vision into reality. Every individual featured in the exhibit, whether a founder, volunteer, board member, donor, or staff leader, played a vital role in ensuring the museum's success over the past 5 decades. The exhibit also highlights the different iterations of the museum through the years while honoring the lasting impacts of those who have guided its mission of sharing the stories of Springfield, Greene County, and the Ozarks. 50/50 Half a Century of History is the perfect way to launch our 50th anniversary, says Sean Fitzgibbons, Executive Director of the History Museum on the Square. A museum doesn't just happen. It is built by a community that believes in preserving and sharing its history. We are only here because of the people whose stories we get to tell and the continued support of our members, donors, and community. This exhibit is a great way to say thank you to our community. The opening of 50/50 Half a Century of History marks the beginning of an extraordinary time in Springfield's history. Over the next 2 years, the museum will join the nation in celebrating the United States' 250th anniversary, while also recognizing the 100th anniversary of Route 66 and the museum's own 50th anniversary. Special programming, exhibits, and community events are planned throughout 2025 and 2026. 50/50 Half a Century of History will be on view through January 4th, 2026. This exhibit is included with general admission and is always free to members. For more information, they ask you to visit their Website, historymuseumonthesquare.org, or send Sean Fitzgibbons, the Executive Director, an email at sean@historymuseumonthesquare.org. This exhibit was made possible through a partnership with Missouri Humanities, SGC Food Drive, SRC Holdings, and more.
And Missouri sports betting likely to alter cross-border patterns and revenue. This is an article written by Salita Kern, first in the Beacon, and a couple of key points. This is AI-assisted summary. Prior to legalization, thousands of Missourians crossed state lines into Kansas and Illinois to place sports bets. Missouri legalized sports betting in November of 2024 with sportsbooks going live December 1st, 2025. And the state anticipates collecting approximately $28 million in annual tax revenue from sports betting. On Sundays, Spencer Murray has been driving across the border into Kansas to place bets on sports. Murray, a Kansas City resident, says he's always loved watching sports. When he learned about sports betting via social media, he started placing bets on the Chiefs. I'll go on Sunday mornings, so probably once a week, maybe twice if there's something fun, Murray said, or if I'm over there running errands in Overland Park or visiting family in Prairie Village, I'll put that in. Most of the time, Murray has kept it simple and found a parking lot to place his bets, and he wasn't alone. Murray said he's often seen other people parked and on their phones on the Kansas side of the border. On Sunday mornings, there's usually a few cars that you can tell are placing bets, he said, or if you're just driving, you'll see cars parked on the side of the road that are probably doing that. But when he gets a group of friends together, they've gone to a bar on the Kansas side of State Line Road to bet as they watch the game. Murray and his friends are among thousands of Missourians across the border into Kansas, Illinois, and other states to bet on sports. Of the 8 states that border Missouri, only one, Oklahoma, has not legalized sports betting in some form. And here we see a map, dozens of states across the country shaded blue. It's a map of the United States, and the states in blue have legalized sports betting in some form. This was provided by the American Gaming Association and was just mentioned. Bordering Missouri, Oklahoma is still in white, while the other states are all in blue. Between September 5th and October 21st of 2024, GeoComply, a software company that checks sportsbook users' locations to determine where they can place a bet, identified more than 216,000 mobile sports betting accounts in Missouri. During that time, more than 3,700 Missourians traveled to Kansas and more than 2,800 traveled to Illinois to bet on sports, according to data from GeoComply. The phenomenon is similar to cross-border shopping, according to Adam Hoffer, the Director of Excise Tax Policy at the Center Right Tax Foundation. In Missouri's case, just based on where the state population is, you're definitely going to see an impact on neighboring states, Hoffer said. In November 2024, Missourians legalized sports betting. December 1st, December 2025, sports books went live within Missouri's border for the first time. Missouri, who spoke with the Beacon a few days before sports books launched, said he's excited about the change. It was time for it to happen, he said. I think no matter what your opinion is on it, people are going to other states. People are going to do it regardless. And now we see another map which says between September 5th and October 21st of 2024, thousands of Missourians traveled across state lines to place bets on sports, and orange dots are showing the location of Missouri sportsbook users who then traveled, and this is indicated by orange lines to locations in Kansas, traveling over the border, indicated by blue dots to legally use Kansas sportsbooks during that period. The article goes on saying that he said he appreciated the greater accessibility of not having to travel to place bets, which he thinks he'll bet more or less the same amount. He's looking forward to live betting, which he said wasn't as much of an option before. As Missouri bettors stay in their homes and their neighborhoods to place bets, other states will feel the impact of lost revenue, Hoffer said. Missouri expects to collect about $28 million in tax revenue from sports betting annually. Although the state stands to collect revenue that would otherwise go to neighboring states, Missouri is late to legalizing sports betting, which means that it won't attract as much cross-border betting from its neighbors. However, as the Midwest embraces sports betting, some state sports betting tax policies could drive bettors into neighboring states, Hoffer said. I don't think Missouri is going to be a huge winner in terms of an influx of cross-border bettors, where they might see it most is actually from Illinois, because Illinois just placed a per-wager tax, he said. What we expect to see as a result in Illinois are fewer, smaller bets. Illinois bettors can, if they're near a border with Missouri, dodge that tax by betting across the border. So he says, I do think Missouri will see some net influx from people living in neighboring states, he added. I do think it's going to be enormous, but I do think there will certainly be some bettors looking to avoid the higher taxes in neighboring states. An advantage of being a later adopter is that Missouri could evaluate other state sport betting tax policies to see what works best, Hoffer said. I think that's quite helpful in this case. If I were to design a sports betting tax structure from scratch, I'd pick the way Missouri designed it. Their rate of 10% is going to put them close to the medium rate. Sports betting taxes aren't competitive in the same way as taxes on cigarettes or gasoline, where prices and in part taxes are advertised on billboards on the side of highways so consumers know where to shop for the best rates, Hoffer said. Still, higher taxes could mean sports books have to worsen the odds for their customers in order to ensure they make a profit. As a result, worse odds could push bettors to nearby states with lower taxes and better odds, he said. Sports bettors, like a lot of other cross-border shoppers we see across the country, will know where they can get the best odds for their wagers and will bet accordingly.
And to help us wrap up, I do have some interesting things that have happened this day in history, December 3rd. We have some birthdays. Sean Parker was born in 1979. He's an American entrepreneur. Julianne Moore, an American actress, was born in 1960 on this day. Ozzy Osbourne, the British musician, was born on this day in 1948. Jean-Luc Godard, a French director, was born on this day in 1930. Some featured events: we do have a gas leak in India on this day in 1984. A gas leak from a Union Carbide plant in Bhopal, India, spread over a populated area, resulting ultimately in 15,000 to 20,000 deaths and leaving some 500,000 survivors with chronic medical ailments. They also say it was the worst industrial accident in history, when about 45 tons of dangerous gas escaped from an insecticide plant. The final death toll is estimated between the number that I said earlier. And we also have Gwendolyn Brooks, a Pulitzer Prize-winning poet who spoke of and to the everyday struggles and triumphs of African Americans, died in Chicago. Christian Berard of South Africa performed the first human heart transplant at Groot Shrew Hospital in Cape Town. Tennessee Williams, A Streetcar Named Desiree, premiered on Broadway, starring Jessica Tandy, Kim Hunter, Marlon Brando, and the latter two appeared in the 1951 film adaptation. Anne Fraud, a founder of child psychoanalysis and one of its former practitioners, was born in Vienna. English writer Joseph Conrad, whose notable works included the novel Lord Jim in 1900 and the novella Hearts of Darkness in 1902, was born. And then after hastily constructing a fortification and barricading themselves inside, miners working in the Eureka gold field in Victoria, Australia, opened fire on government forces surrounding the stockade, the culmination of long-standing grievances on the part of the diggers. And finally, Illinois was admitted as the 21st state in the United States of America.
And of course, we're all wondering just how much snow did we get recently? Well, here are Missouri's highest snowfall totals. This is from the USA Today network, and we see there was a time lapse of snow falling in the Springfield area. And Missouri saw its first snow of the season over the holiday weekend, with snowfall totals varying across the state. Kansas City area had the highest snowfall totals in Missouri, while southern parts of the state experienced significantly less. So what were the highest snowfall totals in Missouri? We now see a map from the National Weather Service local storm report showing the snowfall total analysis. As I just mentioned, of course, the darkest colors are right around the Kansas area with 4.5 inches. It looks like was the most reported, just to the east. Missouri snowfall, this has been provided by the Iowa Environmental Measurement as well, this information, and goes on to tell us that here are the areas across the state that had the highest snowfall through Tuesday, December 2nd. Kansas City, grand total of 5 inches. Raytown, 4.5. Independence, 4.5 inches. Lexington, 4.5 inches. And Richmond, 4.5 inches. So how much snow did Springfield get? Southwest Missouri saw very little snowfall compared to most of the state. Measurements ranging around an inch or less. The highest in Springfield was 1 inch. Out at the Springfield Branson National Airport, it was 0.9 inches. Republic reporting in 0.8 inches. Columbia, meantime, in central Missouri had more snow than the southern parts of the state. They reported in with 2.6 inches, Boonville 2.5, and Rolla got just over 1 inch. We now see a really cute picture of a couple of penguins playing in the snow. And in fact, they are enjoying a snow day at Springfield's Wonders of Wildlife. So what is the forecast for the rest of the week in Missouri? Should be mostly sunny throughout the rest of the week in Springfield. Temperatures mainly in the 40s, according to the National Weather Service. And meantime, if you're headed a bit north, Columbia will see colder temperatures in the 30s throughout the week. They have a 20% chance of snow on Wednesday night.
And then we do have some news about the Ozarks School District. They revamped the Ozark District revamped athletic director jobs at E.N.C. Little as E.N.C. Little retires. So the upcoming retirement of the Ozarks High School athletic and activity director prompts district leadership to restructure the job. The superintendent, Lori Wilson, presented a revamped job description to the school board during the November 18th meeting. After her remarks, it was unanimously approved. Originally part of the consent agenda, board member Christine Tongsing requested it be pulled out so there could be discussion before a vote. I didn't have concerns, she said, noting it was not a routine item or a change. I just wanted to hear a little bit of explanation about what things are different, what prompted it. Wilson said at the exit of E.N.C. Little, a longtime employee who has been in the post since 2017, gave the district a chance to review the expectations and responsibilities of the position. The salary scale will not change. She described Little as an outstanding athletic director and employee for numerous years at Ozark. He truly bleeds red and white, and so he will be missed. The updated position will just be called High School Athletics and Activities Directors without any assistant principal duties and will take on district level duties. They say the most significant change is just a shift in the reporting structure. And I think we're about ready to wrap up. I think. There's not much any left on the article.
I thought about 59:30.
Okay.
Some exciting news, though, for Springfield's The Kitchen. The Bezos Fund is providing $2.5 million to the kitchen, and they will be using the funds to expand services for families experiencing homelessness. The grant is the largest in the organization's history and will be used over the next 5 years. And the Kitchen Inc. was the only Missouri-based organization to receive a grant from the fund this year. The kitchen will be using the funds, as we said, to expand support in Springfield and Greene, Christian, and Webster counties. And in all, 32 organizations across the U.S. received a total of $102.5 million from the Bezos Day One Family Fund, which is aimed at helping families with housing. And we see a picture of the Sam F. and June S. Hamra family, the kitchen building. And it's home to O'Reilly Family Campus of the kitchen. And it's an incredible investment, will strengthen our ability to bring stability and purpose to families who have nowhere else to turn, said Malia Spencer, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Kitchen Inc. in a news release. It comes at a pivotal time as we face rising costs and shifts in federal funding. This support ensures we can sustain and grow the work that Sister Lorraine envisioned 42 years ago, helping us fulfill our promise to ensure every child and family in our community has a safe and stable place to call home. Over the next 5 years, the Kitchen Inc. is planning to use the one-time grant to stabilize families through its new shelter expansion with private units, strengthen case management, and enhance on-site support, allowing more families to find permanent housing. And enhances every part of our week. Outreach, shelter, housing, and supportive services, said George Buford Stark, Chief Operating Officer of the Kitchen Inc., which was started in 1983. It allows us to work more efficiently, expanding our capacity and remove barriers so families can reach safe, stable housing much sooner. And since its inception in 2018, the Day One Families Fund has awarded 280 grants, totaling more than $850 million to organizations serving families in all 50 states, the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, and Guam. The Kitchen Inc. once again was the only recipient this year from Missouri. Last year, the Greater Kansas City Coalition to End Homelessness received $500,000. And we would certainly like to thank you so much. This is our first time together, and appreciate the opportunity to be here. And we'd like to thank you for listening to the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. Please tune in every week, Monday through Friday, on the Blind Community Thrift Store's YouTube channel at 10 a.m. for more up-to-date news from the Springfield News-Leader, Springfield Daily Citizen, and Springfield Business Journal, and 417 Magazine. Please listen after we are live on the Audio Reader Network at www.reader.ku.edu. All broadcasts are played over KSMU's subcarrier airwaves at 67 kilohertz on 91.1 from 3 to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Contact Audio Reader Network for information on receiving a pre-programmed radio. And again, we thank you. Hope you have a great day.